So what music do you listen to?
It varies a lot. So as you know, I'm very into music, and I would say that I have stages that for example, I'm discovering an artist and I will listen to his or her albums, and I tend to listen to indie music and many local music here in Montevideo and Uruguay, rather than the typical commercial music. And there's a lot of good artists here in Uruguay, and that's something that I try to discover. Back when there was no COVID, I used to go often to see some indie artists presenting their work, and it varies a lot. I like indie rock. Like there's a lot of genres really, and I wouldn't pick one really.
What are
There
some
are
names of Uruguayan artists for me to write down?
for you. Okay, so there are some very known ones, like you could say Jorge Drexler is one of them. He's actually living in Madrid at the moment, but he's famous, especially worldwide, because he won an Oscar for one movie. So he's the first Uruguayan to won an Oscar, and he's very talented composer as well.
Okay.
His music is very good, really. And then there are many like popular rock bands. You could say No Te Va a Gustar or La Triple Nelson. That they are known across the Americas.
Repeat those again.
No Te Va a Gustar, which means you are not gonna like it in Spanish. And another one that's very good is Cuarteto de Nos.
What does that mean in Spanish?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It's a cuarteto is four people from a band.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it's de nos, really.
Yeah. So is there like a close relationship between Uruguay and Spain still?
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Many of us are descendants. Like my grandparent, he's from Spain, and he's actually from Galicia, which is the part that I visited, and that's where Santiago de Compostela is. So for me, this trip that I did recently, it was also special because I got in contact where my grandparent came from, and many people are descendants from Spain, and there's a strong culture here in Uruguay from Spain. There are many things that you can see that are strongly related, from names of things that come also from Spain, to just habits, like having dinner later in the day than most countries. For example, we have dinner around 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So as an American, you will be surprised about that. I'm pretty sure. And like people in Spain just have dinner later in the day, and in Italy, I think it's also fairly common to do that as well. So you can see how the way we are counts very much influenced by how our ancestors, the culture that they had.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It makes a lot of sense too. What's one of the last questions I have for you is, what's something you're curious about recently?
All right. I'm always curious about some things that I have my mind on. So recently it was more about my grandparents, as I was talking about. And I actually spent some time talking with my mother about it and all the things that she knew about him, because uh, she actually met him and she was able to talk with him. How many of the recipes in the family, like the tortilla, like came from Spain, and so that's very interesting. And then, like in the music side, I'm getting to know an artist which is very influential here, which was, well, because he's not alive anymore, but he's still very much alive in the sense of all the music that he created, which is called Eduardo Mateo. And that's a huge name here in Uruguay.
What's the name again?
It's Eduardo Mateo.
Okay. Cool.
So he composed a lot of very different music, and I'm getting to know many of it.
Very cool. Well, the last question I have for you is what's your impression of Americans?
My impression, my personal impression.
Yeah.
Well, I I did a trip in 2019. I went through United States and Canada. Like I was traveling through the US for 1 month,
Okay.
and I went from um, San Francisco, Seattle, Cleveland, Chicago, Nashville, uh, Columbus,
Yeah,
Ohio.
you
Like,
done some traveling. You're in the
yeah, I did
States.
I went through all these cities doing couch surfing mostly, so I got to know local people from there, and it was a great trip really, and I got to know a lot of the US. And one of the things that many people don't realize is how different it can be in the
Yeah.
US. It's a huge country really, and there are very different cultural things depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that we actually consume a lot of content from the US.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of it comes through Hollywood. A lot of
Hmm.
it comes through YouTube. Like children these days, they know a lot of things because they watch YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
We use Netflix a lot, so we have a strong strong influences from the US media and culture, but like the media that comes through these services is mostly like one-sided, like, and you don't realize how different it can be in
Yeah.
the US if you just watch this content.
Yeah.
So I think people here like don't really have that much strong opinions about the US in general, but they are pretty much aware of it. And
Yeah.
I've seen people go crazy when some big brand from the US comes, like Starbucks, Forever 21,
Oh,
H&M.
yeah.
Like people will go crazy and line up like there was no tomorrow
Wow. Interesting.
in the first days.
Yeah. What did you think of Chicago when you came here?
Oh, it's incredible, the architecture.
Yeah.
And it's very cool that like you can go and drink a wine by the river and people with yachts. And that's something I've never seen like in other places, like in the middle of the city,
Yeah.
be like that. Um, I enjoyed my time in Chicago. I feel like I should spend more time because I think I was like 3 to 4 days, and it's very big,
Yeah.
Chicago as well.
Yeah.